Hello and welcome to YouTube Cast by myself, Wardy. How are we doing today? It's a beautiful day here in England at the time of casting, which has no relevance to you guys, but I like telling you what's up because I'm in a pretty good mood. I feel like the sun is shining. It doesn't happen very often in England, so it makes a, has a bit of a funny effect on us here when the sun does shine. As to the bottom right hand side of today's YouTube only cast, we got ourselves a blue Terran player, INnoVation, up against the red Terran in the top left, rocking that Size Storm Gaming clan tag. It is GuMiho. Of course, INnoVation's team, am I going to dare say it? Reciprocity. Reciprocity. We had a real debate about this back in WSG, and it was like, it's just a real tongue twister. For some reason, it's not a weird word either. It's just a bit of a tongue twister word. Of course, hello everyone, thanks so much for tuning into YouTube Cast, and I'm so happy for you guys to be listening. As always, if you enjoyed the casting, do consider hitting the like button on the video. The likes go a huge way to helping us kind of push this content to other people, and the more we grow the channel, well, the more content we can give you guys, the better quality and all of that good stuff. You know the drill. Of course, leave those comments down below as well. Let me know what you thought of the match. Let me know what you thought of the players. Let me know who you may be excited to see in the future as well. And of course, subscribe if you didn't do so already. We are actually really fast approaching that 7,000 subscriber mark, so go! With all of that said, it is TvT to start the day, and it is going to be two different openings already in game number 1, with a single gas opener from GuMiho, so a fast expansion from him, as he is going to put this command center down on the low ground in the next few moments. And from INnoVation, the double gas opening means that he will be a bit faster on the factory, but you can see he's only mining with 3 workers on gas anyway, so he actually has a similar gas income to GuMiho, just he did have a bit more gas income initially to get that factory sooner. Now he can take his own expansion pretty quick as well. It's just a bit of a different way of expanding, it's a bit of a safer way of expanding. This has really become the norm in TvT, in terms of it is one of the very regular ways you can set up and open and so on and so forth, so there we have it. Pretty typical. It's kind of funny because INnoVation will get a little bit of pressure on the map, but there shouldn't be too much advantage for him where GuMiho can't really hold on with what he's doing. This is from INnoVation is much better against someone who goes 2 gas kind of 1-1-1 initially, because then what you can actually do is you can defend while still having a faster expand of yourself. GuMiho's build is much riskier to things like a 2-Rax Reaper or so, and some stuff like that, as you do see the bunker just coming down at the front. Command center here. I mean, this is just typical from GuMiho in this situation. Obviously, he is on the faster expansion, so you may as well get that bunker down. Make sure you're nice and safe. Keep yourself alive in the early stages. The 2 Reapers from INnoVation heading up to the top left-hand side. They're going to be flying past the bunker in a moment or two, as the bunker will deal some damage back to the Reapers. Taking a few shots, and while INnoVation going to lose one of those Reapers here, Hellion to back up the Reaper after it would have been chased down otherwise. So that was a nice save in the end, at least. As the Hellion and the Reaper going to be coming up to the top side of the map. Siege tank on the way out. Barracks about to finish up a reactor. And that starport going to be completing in the next few moments as well. So a couple of Marines coming through a siege tank as well. All of this getting set to go over the next few moments here. As we do see the Reaper and the Hellion here from GuMiho starting to head down into the center of the map. Meanwhile, we have got this command center just about to finish up over here. And again, all of these units going to be popping out in the next few moments of INnoVation to help him defend. I mean, his Reaper and Hellion is out of position, so he kind of needs to get a couple units down the low ground. He will finish this command center before we see the SCV killed, so that's at least not going to be delayed at all. There's an SCV and a Marine kill as the Reaper and the Hellion goes down. Not really much of an issue for INnoVation then in the end, as we see GuMiho going to make progress towards a Banshee, although no cloak on it, so a single cloakless Banshee here, with Marine production and tanks as well. A second barracks coming down, so we'll play Bio as a follow-up as well. Could get quite aggressive from GuMiho. Even if those Banshees don't have cloak, they put out a lot of damage, and if they can get in range of a siege tank or so, they can force it on siege, and maybe that gives him the chance to jump on an opportunity to get something done. Now, this is a very early attack from INnoVation. Going to be really reliant on this siege tank, sieging up and dealing a lot of damage here, and I mean, that'd be cool and all if there wasn't this Banshee. This Banshee's just going to straight up be enough to hold on to this. Although maybe with the Marine Micro, maybe it will not be. Actually lifts those Marines up and brings them further forwards. I mean, even if he just keeps pushing the Banshee back, he is buying himself time where he's sat here with the tank dealing damage. He will kill the reactor. The supply depot is going to continue taking damage too, and the bunker, I guess. I mean, I would have liked to just see him target down the supply depot, because I feel like the depot is something which You can kind of guarantee a kill on the bunker. Does it really matter? Can you stop the SCVs repairing it? Not really. You're not in range. But you were in range to stop SCVs repairing this depot. Yeah, I mean, 6 and 2 is really right. I mean, wasn't the end of the world, but wasn't the greatest moment either. The INnoVation going to take a couple more shots on a siege tank here, but a Viking coming through means he can push back that Banshee. Double Banshee though, so it's actually quite a lot of firepower that he'll have here to break this. So here we go, those Marines going to have to jump on top of a Banshee pretty quickly as well. But the siege tank from GuMiho is going to help to defend, and INnoVation will be losing his siege tanks. Well, a Viking is going to chase the Banshee down, but then the repair will come through, and the repair will keep that Banshee alive. So a couple of mules drop in. We'll be seeing INnoVation lifting up. He's going to come and drop on top of the siege tank. He's got a couple of Marines and a tank of his own. And he's going to try and fight this off. Still has that Viking, by the way. And that Viking will be able to pick up the kill. Sorry, I said he had a tank of his own. It's a Cyclone of his own. But he does break through here and get even more damage done. INnoVation just picking apart the army of GuMiho. This is actually just a bit of a chaotic little fight, isn't it? I mean, INnoVation seems to be all over the place as GuMiho struggling to stabilize. Has nothing to defend on the natural, so even a couple of Marines that could come down here could get quite a lot done. As the units are going to come down here, dropping back in from the medevac. Just going for another couple of SCV kills. I mean, 6 workers killed recently. INnoVation taking a 9-worker lead. And in general here in game number 1 is putting himself into a very good position. Just flying back into the main. Actually has a siege tank showing up on the natural here. Probably wants to throw down the order turret because otherwise he doesn't have the damage needed to maybe win out this fight. He did take the first shot on his tank. I mean, again, it's just even more SCVs going down. These Marines in the Cyclone are back as well, dealing even more damage. It's ridiculous how much they've done. It really is. They've just been going at it for what feels like an eternity. That drop has just been endless. I mean, finally INnoVation has turned away. Finally, GuMiho gets enough army supply up because INnoVation lost some of his units finally in this trade. But I mean, GuMiho is down 20 workers. He is in a lot of trouble. And INnoVation is looking absolutely fantastic here in this game number 1 of our TvT best of 3 that we have for you guys today. Now, Stimpack about to finish up from GuMiho. Stimpack on the way from INnoVation. It is much later though, and as combat shield starts, GuMiho does have that fast attack up into bio units. You can see INnoVation doesn't even have his extra barracks down yet, so he's very reliant on just a very stationary, strong defense with ravens and tanks. But it does mean that he has to sit back and defend, and even though he's on a third base, he probably isn't going to be able to take that for a while because, well, GuMiho doesn't have one of his own, and again, GuMiho with the stim, with the mobility, he's dreaming of INnoVation moving out and trying to defend a third base and committing units forwards outside of the defensive natural expansion because, well, that's just the point where GuMiho can absolutely look to capitalize. And where GuMiho is just going to be like, rubbing his hands together, licking his lips like, oh, yes, let me use my, upgrade advantage here. Let me use my Bioforce that you don't have yet. Let's see how it goes because GuMiho is starting to press forward. The first Marine coming across. There's going to be Marine versus Marine here in the center of the map. And GuMiho is going to be the one to back away. A couple more Marines coming in, so we'll win that out. Obviously, INnoVation will know there's potential for an army of GuMiho to come across. Because GuMiho will build his third base in location. So getting this set up here. Obviously, GuMiho doesn't know about the third base of INnoVation. He's pretty blind in general, and obviously doesn't want to drop a scan or anything. He's already, falling a little bit behind. So the last thing you want to do is to then, go for, throw a scan down or something crazy like that. That was a scan from INnoVation, trying to see if GuMiho's main army was up there, seeing if he needed to relocate these siege tanks. Just trying to get a heads up as to where he should maybe be trying to siege in the next little while here. Marines, medevac of a couple of tanks, and a Viking coming across over to the right-hand side. We'll be able to pick off another Marine as well. I was going to see these tanks, going to siege on up, so tanks going to siege, Vikings coming through. I mean, INnoVation just has the air control, drops a ton of order turrets to help him buy time for his siege tanks. They are a bit clumped up, those tanks, mind you, but I think it's going to be enough in the end anyways. Even if he loses these couple of tanks, he's got reinforcements. He's got Vikings to land on the tanks of GuMiho as well. And of course, GuMiho is so far behind in economy behind this as well. He's just going to type out GG right there. INnoVation picking up game number 1 of this best of 3 series. Boom, INnoVation going 1-0 up against GuMiho. Welcome to game number 2. As to the bottom left-hand side of New Repugnancy, our blue Terran player is INnoVation. Up against the red Terran in the top right-hand side from Psystorm Gaming, we have got GuMiho. Game 2 of this best of 3. As we set this up, we get this rolling, look to see what's going to be happening. As GuMiho obviously just kind of, I wouldn't say fallen apart, as much as he just sort of got picked apart, right? And I think there's two very big differences between those, where falling apart is where you're kind of doing okay and then you just make mistakes and you just kind of allow the opponent to kind of win the game. What I think happened here was he really got picked apart, which is INnoVation was really just on top of him. He was here, he was there, he was attacking in this location, and I guess falling apart was kind of that because, you know, GuMiho let him get in position initially, he let him then continue it, right? But I really feel like INnoVation did a good portion of that to be able to apply pressure, to go into the right positions, to create those opportunities, to create, you know, get damage done. Didn't go well for GuMiho, put it that way, whichever way you want to define it. It is going to be an 0-1 for him now. And a best-of-3 series means he has to win this one to stay in it. That's another series from the Olimoleague as well, by the way. Just throw that out there for you guys. These videos in general do very good, and I think it's just because we have some of the top-level Koreans taking part in them. But I'm always interested, of course. I know this is a question I ask a lot, but I am always really interested in what you guys are thinking. Do you guys want to see, you know, is there specific players you guys want to see? Is it important for you guys that we're casting top Korean players? Would you prefer to watch Europeans? Does it not matter for you? I'm kind of interested, because looking at the stats, you know, now and again, some of the European matches do pretty well. But by far and large, these matches with, like, INnoVation, Zest, Zoo, GuMiho, MC, they generally tend to do way better as videos. So let me know if you guys in the chat, you guys that, I guess, kind of interact have a feeling, because if you guys who are talking or who comment and stuff like that, I really appreciate that. So if you guys have preferences and you guys have opinions, I want to hear them. I do read all the YouTube comments. So yeah, let me know. Let me know, as we do see an SCV from INnoVation heading back home after his initial scout. This Reaper is just going to come in. It's just going to wait a little while before killing that SCV. I kind of like it because it's like, it does just waste that little bit of extra time on the attempt to proxy here. And this is GuMiho going for the 1-1-1 opening, while INnoVation goes for that double gas expansion. So this is what INnoVation did last game. In the last game, GuMiho was opening with the 1 gas expand, which gives GuMiho that little bit of an advantage early. But this gives INnoVation a little bit of the advantage on the command center, while also still being very safe. Yes, he will be behind on the starport, and that's always the kind of the decisive factor in these builds. Whoever is expanding earlier will still have a later starport, even if their factory is at a similar time. This will still have a little bit less gas. As the Reaper and Hellion fight kicks off here, it's actually pretty even. A second Hellion from INnoVation, reinforcement distance being on his side is going to allow him to push this away. But yeah, whoever has, you know, takes the second gas sooner will still have more gas. They get a faster starport, they can build something more useful off the factory perhaps a bit sooner. But of course, you do still have a, you know, fairly fast factory. You still do have defender's advantage as well as the expanding player. And the player who has that extra gas has to kind of find something to be done. Otherwise, they will fall behind in work account. They will fall behind in economy. And that's obviously not so great, as INnoVation will lose a Hellion here. And GuMiho's Hellion count looking pretty good if he maybe wants to move across the map with it. Something to watch out for is a reactor coming up on the barracks. Liberator on the way out. Siege tank building on the main base. And there is this Reaper of INnoVation just continuing to head out over to the right-hand side of the map here. Going to be moving through up into the natural in the next few moments. And again, just poking, prodding around. Maybe able to get an SCV kill, actually. Going to get, I mean, only takes a few shots, so Hellions will not respond in time. It's a nice SCV kill. Those SCVs on the low ground from GuMiho, they were just kind of there. I think he was afraid of a follow-up attack from INnoVation. I'm not too sure why. He never really saw anything, I guess, so he doesn't quite know the exact build, so maybe he was afraid. That or it was just a misrally, which is completely a possibility as well. A misrally which in a way helped him get that SCV build in the CC again a bit faster. But of course it didn't really help him when it came to the fact that he was obviously not mining with free SCVs for a while. That's obviously a little bit of a negative side of that, as you see Hellions and the Reaper down to the bottom side. A couple of Cyclones and a Raven out from INnoVation at the moment. So very tech-heavy kind of opening from him. Another Raven on the way as well. I mean, from GuMiho he built that Liberator, and now the Starport is building a Tech Lab, so he doesn't have anything like that just yet. Obviously, the Cyclone should be good to defend the Liberator as well, as long as they stay in position, but this is going to be the multi-prong to try and pull him out of location, as we see the attack from GuMiho coming into the main. That Liberator will line up into the natural at the same time, most likely. Tank Siege is up, and INnoVation doesn't really have a good response to this. Siege Tank is going to fire already, locks onto the Medevac. Here comes the Liberator down into the natural, and INnoVation already in some trouble. Actually loses the Cyclone over here. There's the Interference Matrix, so he can push into this Siege Tank. But it is 4, 5, 6 workers killed on the other side. I tell you what, this siege tank might still be able to get a kill or so. This Raven probably has to drop an auto turret. He's going to lose his own siege tank. Okay, drops another Matrix. I guess that works as well. But now SCVs in the main base are in some trouble. He's not going to lose any, though, because the Hellions only 4-shot SCVs, so they will just about survive. Still 7 workers lost. There it is. GuMiho dealing some of the damage, which he needed to deal, because he is down 4 workers still, despite what he's already done here. Auto turret from INnoVation to help him defend his Medevac brought another siege tank in here. Liberator is back, though. 4-5 more kills. Suddenly, this is GuMiho doing enough to get him to a worker lead. And GuMiho finally finding that damage. This was nice because he also got, some trade-offs against the siege tank, etc. He still has the tank to be pressuring with, and he is attacking the supply depot here. INnoVation actually has triple Raven, which is maybe almost a little bit too much, actually, but I guess it'll kind of work out. Another auto turret trying to chase that medevac down. That siege tank surviving. That's 100 energy that doesn't really do anything at all, actually. It's just sort of, yes, it pushes back the attack, but it doesn't get any kills, so it's that 100 energy which, now these tanks are still around, and now those Ravens are out of energy, they can't really be used as part of the defense, because they've got nothing to add to it until their energy is back. GuMiho will reposition to the low ground now. Not going to siege up here. I feel like he was actually kind of thinking that maybe this is going to be okay for him if he just sort of sits down. And I think it was kind of right to actually not siege up right away and to stay on siege, but got a little bit greedy there, loses his tanks. That's a nice cleanup from INnoVation finally, as he also shuts down the Liberator in the main base. So INnoVation finally getting a bit of control in this game, because GuMiho has just been running rampant for the last few minutes and has really been the one. You can still see he's the one rallying units out into the middle of the map. Now INnoVation has Stimpack started already, has a third CC very early on. And there's only 2 bases at that moment from GuMiho. His third is in location already, though, so that will save him some time. Doesn't have to float it down from the main base, which means no wasted time there. But he is behind on the Stimpack, although he is faster on the 2 barracks. So, well, I'm trying to say a very long-winded way of saying that it's a lot of here and there from our Terran player, and from both players, in fact. There's a lot of kind of advantage here, advantage there, disadvantage here, disadvantage there, right? Neither of them has a clear cut, oh, they are winning this game at the moment. So INnoVation gets his own third base in location, so all said and done, these bases start mining at pretty much the same time, so no real problems there, no real issue at the end. I was just going to see the SCV. Another couple of tanks coming forwards. All this is preparation. INnoVation has a hell of an air force, by the way, with the triple Raven and 6 Vikings already. GuMiho is trying to contest it, but he only has 2 Ravens of his own and 2 Vikings at the moment, so he's way down on that. He's going to be seeing tanks and Marines pressing forwards. The tanks in the center of the map, that's where the Ravens come in very useful, of course. You throw down interference matrices there, and you have no problem at all pushing into this. As INnoVation really is taking this opportunity to push across the map. He's going to go more towards the natural now. We have so many interference matrix on each side, this could be a real mess of a fight, actually, in terms of how it turns out. It's actually just going to be a spam of auto turrets, apparently. INnoVation throwing down all of the auto turrets that he can. He will lose all of his Ravens, though, and these auto turrets get cleaned out with only a few siege tanks sat behind them. All of the air army from both sides gets cleaned out in the end. This last Viking shot will be a Viking for a Viking. Well, INnoVation just survives with a few tanks and a few Marines. Not really much to really take advantage of here, as, oh, he doesn't have the vision, so he will lose a tank. Oh, he scans back. It's a tank for a tank once again. And this should be the tank for INnoVation. It is. So INnoVation still picking up damage here on the front line. And 2 more Vikings of his just showed up. He'll try and pull down to the low ground here where he can siege up this mineral line. GuMiho has already pulled SCVs away from the position that he thinks is, oh, he's actually just pulling SCVs to break this. Interesting. Well, INnoVation is immediately target firing the siege tank here. This other tank continue to run away. Quite a lot of Marines. He will get quite a lot of damage done in fairness, though. That's 11 SCV kills. Those Marines actually make a big difference when fighting the SCVs. Otherwise, the tanks actually do pretty well. This tank can probably stop and fight to pick up a few more, as INnoVation takes a 9-worker lead, putting himself in a really good spot here at the moment. And a couple more Vikings just lifting up into the sky as Sensor Tower will drop down onto the third base as this siege tank from INnoVation pulling all the way back home. Third CC of INnoVation, 4th CC of INnoVation, sorry, dropping down in position. So that's something else which you'll get moving here, where GuMiho has not quite made that process happen just yet. GuMiho very impressively has bounced straight back from the 10-worker deficit. He's now back to 65 workers, so that's dead even as upgrades finish up as well. Both players have a similarly timed armory, so they're actually going to be in a pretty much even set of 2-2 upgrades, even though 1-1 was done that bit faster from GuMiho. Not having the armory has cost him just a few potential seconds there. As now GuMiho will try and drop once more. There is a sensor tower down on this bottom side, so INnoVation will have a bit of an idea that it's perhaps coming in. GuMiho pressing forward with a few units towards the 4th base, which is still building. The last thing INnoVation wants is for that to get cancelled, so he's going to really commit some defense to it. Make sure you can get this 4th base up without trouble. And as we do see combat shields just coming in from GuMiho. Is that something that INnoVation has already? Interesting. I guess INnoVation did have the fastest stim in this game, of course. It was last game where GuMiho was much faster on the stim in the bio setup, so yeah, I mean, combat shield's finishing. That's going to be finished before any sort of fight takes place, so that's fine. And again, just 2-2 upgrades coming through as well on either side. A few Marines going to come stimming forwards from GuMiho. So a few Marines stim forwards here, and just going to be seeing again this scan from INnoVation, keeping this army of GuMiho pinned back for a moment or so. Since tower dropping down on the 4th base. And again, just a couple of Marines pressing through. Just getting this set to go as a factory coming up on each side of the map. A couple of cooldown supply depots here from GuMiho, getting that set up as well. So just making sure that he doesn't get supply blocked. Better get cooldown supply than it is to drop a bit, than it is to get supply blocked and still drop the mule, of course. I mean, still not ideal. It's kind of interesting. Once upon a time, there was actually a couple of builds which purposefully threw down these cooldown supplies to, because in a way it saves you 100 minerals right now versus the mule, which mines 200 minerals over what, like 30 or 40 seconds, whatever. And so there was a couple of people who would specifically throw down certain cooldowns because they wanted certain minerals at that point to build a certain something. Very specific though, and I feel like Legacy of the Void economy, it doesn't really have much of an effect just because you start with more economy in general. 100 minerals come a lot easier, and it is typically something that's more effective earlier in the game than later, of course. A little bit of StarCraft 2 history for you all there, as we do see some Marines from INnoVation pressing out into the center of the map. This Marine running back up to the top side as well. GuMiho pressing forwards and is going to be able to come through, picks off that Marine quite easily. Another scan over on the bottom left-hand side as we see Marines, tanks, and Vikings starting to press through the center of the map, and those tanks of GuMiho sieged up. No way INnoVation can fight this, and we'll turn around to fight it, just hold off those Marines. But it won't be anything more than that. INnoVation just going to sit here in the middle of the map. More Vikings showing up for him and going into 2 more starports and the fusion core. Really going to start not just competing for air control, but making use of it with the Liberators, Lib-Range, using those to pick away at siege tank lines, push GuMiho back from certain positions. INnoVation has to be careful. That's a lot of Marines from GuMiho. I'm just looking at the numbers here. I mean, it's actually even Marine count. I guess INnoVation just reinforced, but this was looked way larger of a force from GuMiho just then. Obviously, with sensor towers set up on each side of the map now, this becomes a bit of an interesting TvT where neither player is really going to be easily able to attack into the other. As well, make that hold that fort, because here we go, Marines coming through this top side. I mean, INnoVation can attack through here, but it's only because GuMiho is going for a huge attack across the map. So don't get me wrong, this is going to be kind of a bit of a base trade, and GuMiho jumping on this 3rd base already. INnoVation still has to move up into this 3rd base, which has tanks on it, and INnoVation just has nothing to defend his 3rd, so he will lose this. And that's the problem. GuMiho just seems to be a better set up defensively at home. INnoVation is as well to hold the natural, but only the natural, right? Not really making any progress to kind of, hold the forward bases before now. So that problem has already occurred. INnoVation, well, it probably feels like he has to get something done here because he has lost a base, but he's about to get sandwiched in. GuMiho from the left and the right doesn't need his siege tanks at all. INnoVation wasn't even sieged, and INnoVation's army is going to get absolutely crushed here on GuMiho's ramp up to the bases. Now GuMiho can push back across the map and, well, just look to pretty much put an end to this game, I think. A 50 supply lead, maybe some defensive positions from INnoVation will allow him to hold on for a little while, but GuMiho has the numbers now, has a huge advantage, and there's nothing that INnoVation's really had that can pull this back. I guess he does have free upgrades on the way, but things like the Liberator range aren't going to do him any justice now as well, because the Viking count from GuMiho is too high, and he doesn't have any of his own air control. He lost all of his Vikings. I mean, he's got a few, but nowhere near enough to compete. So that's definitely a bit of a problem here, as we do see Marines and tanks pressing forwards. Got a few Marines up to the top left from GuMiho as well. I mean, just checking out to make sure INnoVation doesn't have a base up here already, which is, fairly realistic at this stage. I mean, with the Liberators joining from GuMiho, he knows he has the air advantage, and that's why he immediately started to make Liberators now, because he can siege those up. put them on top of tanks, and immediately GuMiho is going to force INnoVation to unsiege, and he can bring his own tanks forwards. Leapfrogging in now. He's just going to keep improving that position, using the tank coverage to protect the Liberators. The tanks from INnoVation get pushed back yet again. And it's only a matter of time, realistically, before this base is probably going to be on the out, because, well, I mean, these Liberators are right on top of it already. A few of those tanks on siege coming forwards again. Liberator will siege up one more time. Tanks coming through as well. It's going to be another tank on this low ground getting picked off. No, not quite. Like it's going up against each other. Marines from INnoVation starting to stem forwards. Oh, you can see them fighting against each other right there as well. A couple of libs still just pressing through at the moment. So Marines will stim. The problem is, if you stim underneath those libs, the tanks are protecting. There's just so many tanks. I think GuMiho realizes he just has the numbers to start kind of throwing himself at INnoVation a bit more haphazardly here. He's going to push straight on through. I mean, those tanks are going to keep on dropping. And it looks as though GuMiho will have way too much for INnoVation here in game number 2. Which looks as though it means that we're going to be going to a third game between the two players. So that is rather exciting as those tanks on siege. And they will go pressing in towards the natural expansion in the next few moments. Liberators not sieging up just yet. As here we go. Marine Stim and crew SCVs pulling forwards as well. There's the GG. And GuMiho takes game number 2 of this best of 3. So we're tied up 1-1. We're a third map to be played. Let's hope for a good one, and we'll be into that in just a sec. Third game here between GuMiho and INnoVation will begin with INnoVation sending an SCV out on the map. Our blue Terran in the bottom left looking to take advantage here on Automaton of this big, vast side of the main base where Reapers could have a good time. There's that SCV moving across to the base of GuMiho. Our red Terran in the top right-hand side of Automaton as we get this underway. Get this started for Game 3 of the series. Final game of today's YouTube cast. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Again, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, I appreciate it. The YouTube is, again, continuing to do very well. So shout out to you all for continuing to make that happen. You're all very awesome. As you see, the second rack's going to come down in a moment or two. INnoVation is going to be having the 2 racks Reaper then. The placement of this is actually pretty nice. It's very difficult to scout this as GuMiho, because I feel like if you scout for proxy racks, you scout like up to here and around this space and maybe down here. I don't feel you scout here. And then, of course, if you scout across the map, you come down this way. You don't go through this path. So I like the position of this from INnoVation. Yes, it's not super close to the base of GuMiho, but it's still close enough to have an effect, to have some sort of impact to being proxied. Let's see what INnoVation can do. Is barracks number 1 finishing up right now, and the first Reaper will be on the way out. So again, that first Reaper underway. SCV of INnoVation pulling down to the bottom left-hand side. And there's that orbital command starting up in the main base. Second refinery going to drop down here as well from INnoVation, so getting that going too. And there's that second barracks from INnoVation also finishing up. So 2 Reapers on the way out at the moment. Getting this going. I'm ready to put them in, cross in towards that main base. Try and get some damage done here. There's a factory building up as well from GuMiho. So getting this factory up and running at the moment. Currently just about halfway done, as we're going to be seeing SCVs mining away on the main base. Nothing too crazy, just waiting for this 2x Reaper to hit. GuMiho is on double gas. So it is, a nice fast factory which will help a lot in defending this. It's not a 1 gas expand. It's definitely the sort of expansion you make to be safer against 2x Reaper. Problem is he didn't scout too early. This Reaper only just across the map now, and the fact that Reaper's gone across the map is really sick. Because there's no scout, INnoVation was able to hold his first Reaper back. Now arriving with 2 Reapers at the same time means the Reaper is out of position. It's actually going to stay across the map, that Reaper, apparently. There's already 3 workers going down. The next Reaper does pop up. SCV is chasing that Reaper. This is the problem for GuMiho. He has to micro on 2 different fronts at the moment, so this can very quickly get out of control and get out of hand as Reapers find one more SCV on the low ground. More SCVs pulling into this. That Reaper still just darting around the place. GuMiho microing. INnoVation going to with 4 Reapers can move up to the high ground here. Very narrowly getting that Reaper of his opponent. It's super low. Does go down to the grenade. 2 Hellions now out though. The fact that INnoVation has not picked off 1 Hellion earlier in this makes this much nicer for him. As we do see INnoVation also, again, not mining a lot with his SCVs, though he is about to get a factory up at home, which will help a lot to shut down that single Reaper, which has been such a frustration so far. INnoVation pops up. This Reaper count is dangerous. He also hasn't lost any Reapers. While he hasn't killed any Hellions, and that does mean that, you know, Reapers do start to pick away at those Hellions very quickly now. You can see that first Hellion run down in just a couple of shots. INnoVation putting his to hurt Reapers to the back. Very good micro. Gets rid of one Hellion. Gonna get two now. And that'll be all three because they're still in range. No, just survives, but it's super low HP. Now it will go down. And now these Reapers are gonna start ransacking. Next Hellion is a few seconds away from GuMiho. Another Reaper grenade. SCVs are bopping all over the place. The other Hellion goes down. The Reapers come back home. It goes down too. And that's it. The Reapers are just a little bit too much here from INnoVation, and GuMiho will not be able to survive. It's a bit of a fast and furious ending to our series. But it was a good series overall. We got some good games in there. It wasn't just like a 3-minute stomp every time. If it was, probably wouldn't be putting it up on the YouTube channel. So thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, much appreciated. Again, next video will be a couple of standard uploads for tomorrow and the day after. WardiTV Invitational 7 playoffs, I believe. And then we'll have another YouTube exclusive on Tuesday. We'll be back in the swing of things, back on track, and getting things kind of going at proper times again, rather than being ill and all of this stuff, because I'm pretty much over that. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Don't forget, if you're watching this today, WCS qualifiers are on this weekend, the day the video comes up. Maybe tune in for those. And I'll see you guys next time with more stock.